There are three really important reasons that we write a behavioral statement. And the first one is to make sure that we have an objective measure of success. In order for us to use a scientific method, we have to define what better means. That's how we get a better world. If you don't, what happens is everything comes down to opinion. We've all been in meetings where people throw out different suggestions, and the suggestion we go with is arrived at by consensus or dot voting, or the boss picks, right? Or the opinion of the most powerful person in the room carries the weight. None of those are how science actually works. Science is a process of objectifying the outcome, right? Making sure that we have evidence that lines us, that tells us what the best option is. But that all relies on the ability to say what best actually is. If you're using a different ruler to measure a distance, then we're not going to agree on what distance we've traveled and where we're going. We have to be very precise and specific. The second reason that we write a behavioral statement is to make sure that we're actually focusing on a real behavior, not a thought or a cognition or an emotion. So all the time I talk to CEOs and they'll say things like, I want customers to love my product. What do you mean? I don't know what love is, but I want you to show me. Do you mean recommend the product? Do you mean buy the product, use the product, rebuy the product, reuse the product, pass the product on to someone else, tell someone else about it? There's so many versions of what love can mean. We'll build something really different if you want people to use it versus buy it. The things that make us buy something are not necessarily the same things that make us use that thing. So we need to be really specific about the outcome that we want so that we can create something that maximizes the chances that we actually get that outcome. And in order to do that, we have to have something that's behavioral, that we can observe in the world, that we can measure whether people are actually doing. So a behavioral statement is a format that helps us reach that level of precision, ensures that we're not just talking about, I want people to love something, or measures like NPS or CSAT or other things like that, but rather a physical, literal behavior that we've decided is the one that we want. The third and potentially most important reason that we write a behavioral statement is to keep us aligned. We've all been on projects where we have what I call the 6-week problem. About 6 weeks into a project, we realize, hey, we've been using the same word really differently the whole time. One of my favorites is engagement. Your definition of engagement and my definition of engagement are probably pretty different. And so if we both are working on a project where we think we're trying to increase engagement, when we come back together, we'll discover you've been going in one direction and I've been going in a completely different direction. Even slight misalignments can cause trouble over time, right? Because 1% becomes 2%, 3%, 4%, 5% over time. Time causes drift. Companies that have been around for a really long time lose sight of what the behavior they started with in the very beginning. A behavioral statement helps avoid that. It's the first slide in every slide deck. It's the first thing we say in every meeting. It's the thing we put on the wall for the project that we're doing so that we're really clear as an organization. Hey, here is the outcome that we want. Here is the place that we want to arrive, and that we can continually refer back to that. Now, it may be that over the course of a company, you have to change that behavioral statement, and that's okay. It's okay for things to evolve. But we still want to know where we are now, where we are intending to go together so that we stay really aligned when we work.